Welcome back to Vault Hunters, Derch here, and today I want to talk about B0re. And why B0re isn't really broken and why it's the most overrated skill in the game. So many people just see Bunker blow up and Hyperious blow up and think B0re is broken. But B0re isn't broken. Overlapping hitboxes with the B0re family tree of skills is broken. So let's dive into this and actually explore what I'm talking about here. If you read the card of B0re, it says, your shots pierce through enemies. If your shot hits an enemy after piercing an enemy, it causes massive bonus damage. B0re does not work with rockets and some special projectiles. Also, while deception is active, your visor will highlight enemy crit locations. So what does this really mean? What it means is, when your bullet hits an enemy, a new bullet is created. Your bullet doesn't keep traveling. That bullet travels in the same path as the original bullet and gains 100% damage and will reproc any special effects the original bullet had, including bullet splits, unlisted projectiles, splash damage, anything like that. Okay, simple enough. New pellet, reproc any effects the bullet has, and it goes in the same path. So let's look at how that actually works in practice. Now, if Y0ur shoots over at a bandit, the first bullet, let's say, has 100 damage, the second bullet will do 200 damage, and if he hits another bandit that's also lined up or enemy, the third bullet will do 400 damage. So you can see how each one multiplies beyond itself. Now, as far as we can tell, and this is really hard to test, the bullet's original damage will double, and then you get your skills on top of it. There are skills like Immolate that will do another damage that takes the damage your bullet did, then applies that damage, and then you can re-multiply things on top of it. B0re doesn't quite work like that from what we can tell. Again, this is really hard to test. So if you slag that enemy, the first bullet in UVHM would be times 3, so that'd be 300 damage. The next one 600, the third one 1200. It wouldn't be 300. Well, it kind of works out that way anyways with slag. So, but with other skills, you can see how that adds up. If it worked like Immolate, the first bullet would do 100, then the second one would do, 300, the second one would do 600, and then get slag again, being 600 times 3 to 1800. It does not work like that as far as we can tell. So, let's repeat this phrase. B0re is not broken, overlapping hitboxes are. Please remember this. That is the key to all of this. So why is B0re not broken? Because exponential scaling seems broken, but it's not. Because enemies rarely actually line up for super B0res. And unless you have overlapping hitboxes, while the damage increase is good, it's not quite good enough just to give enemies. As you can see in this little demonstration I put up here, you have Y0ur shooting and you have enemies kind of lined up at different places. Yes, he can clip 3 of them, but he can't clip all 5. Now, yes, you could throw a singularity and try to group them up and that would help, but that's also really limiting Y0ur's build, because Y0ur is a glass cannon, and he needs a lot of different things to kind of make him work. And one of those is he does not have a good source of slag. And you go, oh, get a slag singularity. But slag singularities actually are really bad at slagging. They're terrible at it. Just like in the pre-sequel, cryo singularities rarely freeze enemies. Sadly. Not everything is like the Quasar. So by pulling on a singularity, You can't get transfusion grenades or your melee zero. You can't have a chain lightning or the fastball melee zero that Striker's been doing lately. You're really limiting that loadout. And then if you're sniper zero, you kind of need some healing, and you can't go off a sniper. You lose your CA and the share on me blows, so you're not going to use that. So you really want the slag transfusions, and although it sounds really tempting to put on a transfusion to set up the super bores, it's a bit of a trap with zero. It really is, because then you got to throw that, then you got to throw slag, and then you got to switch to your other weapon, and you don't actually end up doing that much more DPS that way. It's kind of a fun setup, but it's a bit of a trap. So, even with lining up 3 enemies, we'll rarely kill all of them. Because lacking critical hit, enemies just stay alive. And it's really hard to line up more than 1 or 2 crits. If you could line up enemies to, 3 crits in a row, yeah, you'd kill 3 enemies in 1 bullet, but it rarely happens. This is a place where Chain Reaction, which has similar properties to Br0re, is actually way more powerful during the main game because it seeks out enemies. And it can repeat to seek out enemies and travel to them, where Br0re is going to go in a straight line, and you rarely get more than 2 or 3 enemies on a Br0re. Yes, it happens, but it doesn't happen frequently. There are times where enemies will spawn on top of each other. There's some rounds in Finks where you're going to get a bunch of Goliaths kind of spawning right on top of each other, and you can just instantly destroy them. There's the emergency button, I forgot the exact name of it, in the arid Badlands, or was it Boneyard, where you can call down those loaders and you get 2 ultimate badasses that spawn on top of each other overlapping, and you can just instantly kill them. But these times aren't that common in the game. So, if Br0re's not that great, why does Bunker just blow up as soon as I shoot him? Well, let's talk about the overlapping hitboxes here. Got a lot going on this slide. So, overlapping hitboxes. When a bullet with Br0re enters an overlapping hitbox, a new bullet is created each frame until the bullet leaves the overlapping hitbox. So, let's dig in here. So, between the 2 vertical lines on this slide are overlapping hitboxes. If the original bullet does 100 damage, and if you have 10 frames while the bullet passes through the overlapping hitbox, let's look at the damage. So again, original bullet has 100, second one will do 200, third one 400, fourth one 800, fifth one 1600, sixth one 3200, seventh one 6400, eighth one 12,800, ninth one 25,600, and the 10th one 51,200. So you're going from 100 damage to 51,200 damage. That's insane. And that's why Bunker and Hyperious and all these guys can blow up with essentially a level 1 basic repeater starting at 11 damage. Because this is just naked damage without any skills, without slag, without any of that. And you can see you don't need to get that many overlapping hits to get to crazy damage. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it keeps doubling every time. Now on like OP8 or endgame, when you're starting off with like 500,000 damage, well, now you're looking at getting up to like 50, 60 million damage on a single hit without slag or any skills. So you can see how this damage just explodes. Bunker and Saturn turrets overlap with their bodies, so they die. What other enemies have overlapping hitboxes? So, of course, we got Bunker and Saturn, the two most popular ones. Then you got Motor Mama, Oh My God, What the Hell, and Spider Tanks, Ultimate Badass Constructors. Hyperious does not have overlapping hitboxes, but with his shield and his minions, they are so easily gathered up. And when you go into Deception, you see when they got the shields on, you don't necessarily just see their bodies, you see the whole shield. So those whole shields are overlapping hitboxes, and you grab them all together, and then you have a ton of overlapping hitboxes where the game just goes nuts. Then you have Bad Mom and Nomad Torturers. Bad Mom's got 3 midgets, Nomad Torturers have 1. I might be missing 1 or 2 in there, but that's really it. So this is why I say Bor's not really broken. It's the few times you have these enemies, and that's not a ton. And some of these actually aren't that easy. So Saturn, you can only bore with a few guns, and you need to hit a really specific angle, and it actually takes some skill to hit that angle. So while you can one-shot Saturn, it's not easy. Motor Mama, I should have added other bikes with that. She moves really fast, so she can kind of move out of the boar before the boar can go crazy. But, you know, you can get it to work on her pretty well. Oh My God, What the Hell, and Spider Tanks are pretty easy, but you only see them in the peak. And Oh My God, What the Hell, and Spider Tanks aren't that hard to kill. UBA Constructors, they're kind of a pain in the ass. They spawn, I can think of 3 times in the game. You have the one on your way to Bunker. You have the one in front of the Warrior. You have, 4 times. You have one with that panic button you can hit that I was talking about earlier. And you have one in the Hyperion Slaughter Dome. I think there's another button in the Highlands you can press to get one. So a few of them pop up, but in the storyline it's only 3. You got the Bunker, the Warrior, and where was that? And the Arid. So yeah, you got 3 of those in the storyline. Hyperious is a raid boss, which is really cool to be able to just take him off in one shot, but he's the second easiest raid boss, so it's not that big of a deal. Although if you want to get a North Fleet, it can speed it up, and it does make it easy to get crystals fast. And then Bad Maw's a joke, and Nomad Torturers aren't really that scary, so it's helpful, but it's really blown out of proportion about it being broken, because all this together is maybe 1% of the game. It's a tiny, tiny portion of the game. So it's not really that broken of a skill. But the skill is really good. What are the other benefits to this broken game changer called Br0re? No bullet reflection and seeing crits in Deception. These are both huge and underrated part of Br0re that makes Br0re really good. So bullet reflection in this game really sucks, and Y0ur doesn't have to deal with it. There are power loaders and bull loaders and plenty of bosses and those damn annoying crystal skeletons, and sometimes Skags can do it a little bit. There's a lot of bullet reflection in this game, and Y0ur can just say screw you and I don't care about it. And that's a huge benefit for 1 point, on top of doing extra damage. And then seeing crits and Deception, there's some times where you don't realize where a crit spot is on an enemy, and this will help you see it. It also helps trying to line up those crits. That is pretty damn hard, and without this, you really wouldn't have a whole lot of a chance of doing it. So Br0re is really good. It's a really amazing game changer, but it's not broken. Because you take out overlapping hitboxes, and it's just a really good skill. It's always on, the damage increase is high, but it's really hard to line it up to get that damage increase. And that's kind of Y0ur in a nutshell, and why it's kind of perfect for him, because Y0ur is a high-risk, high-reward character that has a lot of damage set up, and if you can set up that damage, you can do crazy, insane damage. And Br0re is a perfect example of that. You know, he's got Rising Shot and CA and just all these things, a lot of critical hit buffs, ambush to you know, shoot enemies when they're not targeting you. So many different ways to kind of set up that big burst hit and do it. And again, Br0re is the perfect example of that, but it's not broken. Because in most of the game, it's just a really good fitting skill for a really cool glass cannon character. It's just, you know, people see Hyperious die to a level 1 repeater pistol, and they say this skill is broken. But they don't understand it's the overlapping hitboxes interacting with the skill that makes it broken. You know, Maya can also one-shot Bunker and Saturn. She just has to phase lock something to do it. So, is Chain Reaction broken? Chain Reaction is really good, but again, you know, it's only on during phase lock and it seeks out enemies, so it's better in some ways. It doesn't have the damage increase, so it's worse in some ways. But in the main game, Chain Reaction is kind of more effective than Br0re for a large portion of the game. Now, there are some times, like Saturn and the Peak, where there's nothing to phase lock and Br0re wins. Oh my god, what the hell doesn't have anything to phase lock, so Br0re wins. But it's kind of a mixed bag, and I think it's a great skill, but I wish people would stop just thinking like every time you hear that Br0re sound, things are going to blow up, because I've actually seen that a lot of times. I've seen that from experienced content creators with over 100,000 followers, where they shoot something, they hear the Br0re proc, and they say, huh, why didn't he blow up? Well, one Br0re proc isn't anything. When you get 10 Br0re procs, you got something. But when you just get one Br0re proc, it's not that much. Even 2 Br0re procs isn't going to instantly blow everything up. When you get up to like 5, yeah, shit's blowing up, but you almost never get up to 5 while mobbing. So that's kind of the sad thing about Br0re is a lot of the most experienced players out there, and like, again, content creators with over 100,000 followers, don't understand it. And I think it'd be better if the community understood it, so we can stop just saying it's a broken skill. Because the thing that needs to get fixed again is overlapping hitboxes. If those worked right with Br0re, it would just be a really amazing skill, not a broken skill. So I hope you guys understand it. I hope this is all clear enough for everyone. You know, I took a little extra time trying to make this nice for you guys, and I wrote some haikus I hope you guys appreciate, even though I bumbled the delivery on a few of them. Yeah, so anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have not yet subscribed, please do so, and I will see you all later. Bye.